Hi, welcome back to the Finley Formation. This is Brandon.
This is Gage, and we're going to be continuing on with our uh, history and off-season review. Sorry, I got choked up for a bit. So today we're pick 9 at the Panthers.
Picks 8.
Eight, yeah, pick 8 of the Panthers.
Which we were kind of backwards. We thought the Raiders were next, so we prepped for the Raiders last time we recorded. But yeah, no, we were wrong.
Yeah, that's why only one got put out last week. And if you missed that episode, which it seems like everybody did, but yeah, we went on vacation for a while, and that's why we didn't post for a while. And I'm basically living in Douglas now, so it's hard to find time. But
Yeah,
we're still gonna keep trying,
heck yeah, we're gonna keep pumping them out.
having lots of fun with it still. So
Yeah, heck yeah.
all right, so yeah, we got the Panthers today. They were established in 1993. They were with the Jaguars as the last expansion teams, most recent expansion teams,
Except for the Texans,
except for the Texans. Yeah,
and their inaugural season, you said, was '95.
yeah, yep. So they're established in '93, but their inaugural season was 1995. And that season in 1995, they had the best inaugural season out of any expansion team. They went 7-9 in their first season, and then in their second season in '96, they went and made the NFC Championship.
Yep.
And they lost, but they made it in year 2, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and a lot of people are mistaken. They still think that the Jaguars and the Panthers both made their championships in the AFC and NFC in their inaugural season, but it was the second season because
Yeah.
they were in the championship for NFC and Jaguars were in the AFC championship on the other side.
Yep. And then, so they had some success at the start, but then in '01 they decided to totally blow balls and go 1-15 in 2001. So,
Yep.
and then, they were wishy-washy until about 2013, started building back up again. And between 2013 and 2015, they won 3 straight divisional titles. And of course, that 2015 year was under Cam Newton, won MVP, and they made it to the Super Bowl where they lost to Peyton Manning in Super Bowl 50.
Against the Broncos.
Yep. Yeah, but the Broncos team was nothing without Peyton Manning. So, all right. After that, they had a good year in 2017 again. And I mean, other than that, it's just contender like playoff teams. Some teams that sucked ass, but that was their good years. And then, I mean, everybody knows how they are nowadays.
Yeah, it's
Young
been rough.
quarterback who was supposed to be good. He's kind of getting there, kind of not. The Ring of Honor, pretty short. They have Mike McCormick, Sam Mills, Jake Delhomme, Steve Smith Sr., Jordan Gross, Wesley Walls, Weston Muhammad, Julius Peppers, and then I seen on something like the first website I used didn't have them, but the second website I looked at had them, and that's Luke Kuechly
Okay.
and Greg Olson.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
So they're not my notes, but looking at it later, it's like, wait, how are these guys not in it? So I looked at it, and they are. And then,
I'm pretty sure they made the Super Bowl in what, like 2004.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they have been to 2 Super Bowls.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll just wait for you to get there then.
I actually didn't have that wrote down, but I
Oh.
do remember reading it.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was
know why I
against
didn't
the
have it wrote down.
Patriots with Jake Delhomme, and that's why he's in their Ring of Honor, I think. So
Yeah. And then for Hall of Famers, they only have 4, and only 2 of them I think about actually being Panthers. So, I mean, it's Kevin Green. I think of him more as like a
Stiller.
Steeler, yeah. And then Sam Mills, Julius Peppers, and then Reggie White, who in earlier episodes we found out he actually split his career decently evenly between 2 teams, but everybody knows him as a Packer.
Right.
So we had this our whole Hall of Fame list. I did forget to look up their amount of playoff berths, so I was slacking this time. Let me get it pulled up here.
Yeah, it was. I remember when they came in, Kevin Green actually played really well for him. I remember how frustrated he was in that 2001 season though, when they were 1-15, and they just could not get a win. I mean, I think they got a win with 1 win, and I think it was in division, but it was a terrible, terrible season for them. And but he played really well though.
Yeah, so in the 29 seasons that they have been a team, they've made it to playoffs 8 times.
So that's not great.
No.
So, but they made it to the Super Bowl twice, which is more than what a lot of teams can say.
Yeah.
So that's pretty
I
crazy.
mean, yeah.
So it's like boom or bust. Like just they're, either going to make it a couple times or, they made the playoffs 8 times, but made it to the Super Bowl twice. That's pretty good average.
Yeah. Now, if only they get their playoff berths up a little bit, but
Right.
I mean, that might be the lowest even percentage wise. That's
It's pretty
almost. I think that's just over a quarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that ain't too good.
I don't think it's the worst we've had, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, but we haven't done the Raiders yet. Here to see them, but yeah. So that's what I got wrote down.
Okay. All right. So some players that like you mentioned in a Ring of Honor or whatever was like Jake Delhomme and all that. And Luke Kuechly was a stud. That dude was a linebacker from hell.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of other players. Like Cam Newton, I really feel like he was like, flash in the pan type quarterback, but he wasn't great. I think, that even his MVP season wasn't great.
Yeah,
It was just he made plays in a moment that really, really got them where they needed to be.
Well,
but it wasn't a
until
great
it was
season.
the Super Bowl and you just want to jump on a fumble. But
Yeah.
now he thinks he's all that, but all you really got to do is flip of him not jumping on a fumble in the Super Bowl. I think that would humble him a little bit, but
Right. Yeah, and I think he was good, but it was just one of those deals where, like you were just waiting for it to fall off because it seems like sometimes once that magic is gone, when teams when those plays just aren't enough,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Then they're done, you know what I mean?
our dogs are fighting. Guess we start talking about mobile quarterbacking. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, Mike Vick is my favorite.
Yeah, no
Start
kidding.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's like most mobile quarterbacks, they're really good, really flashy, makes plays happen, and then they don't take that step that a guy like Lamar Jackson was able to do, where
Yeah.
they become a really good pocket passer, and they are better about the decisive of when to run, when to pass, when to throw it away.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I don't think Cam really got there. I think he was a strong arm, fast quarterback who never developed a passing game where it should have been getting to.
Yeah. Dogs attacking me. So, yeah, no, I totally agree. Other players, I'm trying to think. Even like right now, you got like Bryce Young as a quarterback. We talked about him a little bit. He's coming along, I feel like.
I guess you could count Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey. Yeah.
But, I mean, at this point, he's more of a notable player for the Niners than he was the Panthers. Just never could stay healthy with the Panthers.
Yeah, he had some good seasons there, but it was just, he couldn't stay healthy. It is crazy to think that, they drafted him, 8 overall.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where he came out at. Yeah, we'll kind of look
He was a nerd. He came out of Stanford, right?
Yeah. Let's see if we can find some of their
the Niners might have the smartest running back duo back there with Kyle Juszczyk and CMC.
Yeah.
Some nerds back there.
Right. Yeah, from Stanford and
Harvard.
Yep. Let's see here. Dave Canales is their head coach. He's only been there 1 year, 5-12, which actually was an improvement because remember, I think they went three wins is what they got.
Yeah,
their first season.
3-14.
And so, let's see here. Let's see about some leaders for their. Maybe.
I think
it's not the one.
They have that. They have some up and comers. I'm trying to think of who their leaders would be too, and I know the only name come to mind right now would be Xavier Legette, and he's not a leader. He's just an up and comer for him. Hopefully, an up and comer. I know. Got to pull up the trusty R-Lads real quick.
Yeah, I have that one up. I was trying to get to where their team leaders were, which I'm sure. I'm pretty sure all-time passing leader Cam Newton, 29,000. What's that?
I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, all-time rushing leader Jonathan Stewart. That was one guy I was trying to think of. He had 7,318. Did I say how many Cam Newton had? 29,725. Okay, which is their. That's crazy. That's not that many for a career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Steve Smith. That's another guy. Can't believe I didn't think of him. 12,197.
I did say Steve Smith Senior too.
Did you? Okay. 67 touchdowns, 12,197 was pretty impressive. I think he ended up going to the Ravens at one point, moved around a little bit. John Cassay is their all-time leading scorer with 1482. He's a kicker. And then winningest coach was Ron Rivera, who I don't think it was that long ago that he was there. I think he had 2 stints there, but I'm not quite sure. 76, 63, and 1. So it's not an overly impressive record.
Yeah.
So that's those leaders. Yeah, Cam Newton. I want to say I'm betting that Jake Delhomme isn't that far behind him on that list.
Yeah.
I think he was a better passer. I just don't think he was there as long. So,
Cam Newton, one thing you mentioned about him is he was iconic still. He had that Superman touchdown dance that every elementary kid, and like we had intermediate school when I was going through school back then, so it was 5th and 6th grade. But yeah, middle school down to kindergarten, every kid was doing the Superman thing that he had.
Right. So yeah, Jake Delhomme actually was 10,000 yards behind him. So that just kind of shows they haven't had a really good career passer there, in my opinion. I thought Jake Delhomme was a little bit better than that, but he was only there. He was there for 6 seasons. Cam Newton was there for 10.
Now,
So
I don't expect anything crazy out of the team that's only been around for 29 seasons. They've had a lot less sample size to go off of to get crazy stats, but I mean, if you go through more recent quarterbacks that they could have had, I mean, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, there's a lot of quarterbacks that they could have got, but it's still, they're a newer franchise.
Oh yeah.
Got to give them a little bit of credit.
Right. Then you had Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams, Christian McCaffrey, all runners, Deshaun Foster, Chuba Hubbard. He's already 6 on that list.
Oh wow.
On the rushing list, and yeah, he's been there for 3 seasons, 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And he's only, he's young, and he was putting out some yards last year. I think he did really well. He had, he's already got 3,175. He's got, that second part of your career, I think, is kind of the harder spot for running backs. That's when they already start getting hurt. That's when all the stuff start happening. Christian McCaffrey was number 4 on their list, which kind of surprises me. I thought he did better than that, but he was there for 5 seasons.
Yeah, but he only averaged like 12 games per season in those 5 seasons.
Yeah, 39.80 is what he had for yards. So if he would have stayed healthy, he probably would have been the leader and probably would have been traded. But
I'm sure glad he did get traded though.
Yeah, he had his offensive player of the year, a couple seasons ago was pretty awesome with the Niners. So they were right in drafting him. They had to take a chance, with him at an offense because he's an explosive player. I think he's up there on their receiving list as well.
And he's got to be a lot of help in the locker room and during film review and stuff like that. I mean, he went to Stanford, so he's got to be pretty smart.
Yeah. He is 1,100 yards behind Cam Newton on the rushing list, though.
Wow.
So, yeah, Cam Newton, third. So that's what I was saying. He was pretty dynamic. And he's kind of a flash in the pan, but it just overall his quarterback play wasn't impressive to me.
Yeah, I guess I did expect lower in the passing category for sure. Is to just, how many seasons did he end up playing?
Cam Newton?
Yeah.
10 or 11. 10 seasons, 2011 to 2021.
So he averaged under 3,000 a season?
Well, that was with the Panthers there. And then he did go to the Patriots at the end of his career.
Oh, he did, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
But, yeah. So, let me look on some defense players. We'll see what we got here. It's kind of defense. Kind of a mixed bag with the Panthers. They've had some pretty decent players. And it is crazy that they've made it to 2 Super Bowls. Look back at it, you're like, were they ever really that good? It's kind of wild. I remember when they beat the Eagles in the NFC Championship in like 2003 when they made it. And they were the underdog to me for sure in that game.
Gonna go put the dog out real quick. Be an honor.
So let's see here. The tackles. Thomas Davis. Oh, yeah. That guy. 2005 to 2018. 789 solo tackles. That's pretty good. 309 assisted. Luke Kuechly. 690, 402 assisted. Let's see if we got anybody else on here. Shaq Thompson, who's still playing. Where is he at again? There he is. 470 tackles. So those are your like mainly your linebackers and stuff. Julius Peppers did play there for 16 years, 349 tackles, but I think we're going to see him on the sack list here, pretty high. Yep, 97 sacks in his career, which is pretty awesome.
Wow. So hopefully he gets 3 more this season.
Kevin Green played for them from 96 to 99. So maybe it wasn't that 2001 season. I thought for sure he was on that roster. Maybe it was another season where he was really frustrated. Weird. Okay. Kevin Green, 91 to 99, and 41 and a half in those, that short of time. So he played really well there. So I wasn't wrong about that, but maybe I was wrong about the time frame.
Maybe I wasn't listening right, because I thought you were talking about Jake Delhomme being frustrated and no one.
No, I think I was talking about Kevin Green. When he was on the sideline being a little frustrated. But
either way, I bet everybody was a little frustrated that season.
Yeah. So. Greg Hardy was a big name. He didn't play there very long, but I remember him coming out and playing for them. So, yeah. Some big names there, but not a lot of, I guess, production out of this team.
Yeah, they don't have any, like, all-time greats for the most part. I think Luke Kuechly definitely is. He's probably in a top 5 argument. I would put him for sure in top 5 MLB. I mean, other than that, they don't have a super rich history, especially, even the last 29 years, you could go to probably about 10 franchises and find a pretty rich last 30 years even. So.
Right. I do think that overall they fared better than Jacksonville. Overall. Yeah. I know Jacksonville hasn't made a Super Bowl, let alone 2.
They've been damn close though.
Yeah.
Because they had at least that one cracked year.
Yeah.
They had that one cracked year with Jalen Ramsey in his peak.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, who was their quarterback for that?
Yeah, I remember. I don't remember who the quarterback was, but I remember it being that it was them. They could have went to the Super Bowl in the AFC, and Minnesota could have went to the Super Bowl in the NFC, and neither of them made it, which was kind of funny because I think it ended up being just your normal teams making it, like probably Kansas City or something like that,
Yeah.
But going forward,
I think this is the one we're talking about here, where they played against the Patriots with Tom Brady.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, their quarterback. I was thinking Blake Bortles, but I wasn't thinking he was ever good enough.
Oh yeah.
But Blake Bortles was their passer.
Oh,
and they had that prime Leonard Fournette.
Oh yeah, when he came up.
It was crazy that year.
So yeah, still overall, I think Panthers are better than the expansion team that started with them. And I don't know. So we'll see. I think going forward with this team, how do you feel about them going into this season? Because it seemed like they came alive. They started playing better on offense. Their defense was still a wreck because last season they were last in points scored for defense.
Yeah, and points given up.
And they were 27th in points scored. So they didn't, but I think at one point they were last in both. And I think they came on with their offense started doing better. So I think that's why a lot of people kind of are, at least me, I say a lot of people, but I do feel like it's more than just me, but at least us, feel like they had a little bit of momentum going on.
If I was a Panthers fan, I'd be pretty optimistic compared to how last season actually went, compared to how it finished, and the little bit of momentum they have going into next season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel pretty good about this team going into next season. I still think Bryce Young, it's too early to count him out yet. I'm glad they didn't try and replace him yet.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. He came up, his second season was way better than his rookie season. So.
Yeah, but they did go out and pick up an undrafted quarterback. So.
Oh, yeah? Who'd they get there?
They got Ethan Garbers. I'm not sure where he played and never heard of him until it's in this roster.
Yeah, I haven't heard of him either.
Yeah. But yeah, right now he's sitting at 4th on their depth chart, so probably more just a depth piece. But
yeah, and they got Andy Dalton right behind Bryce Young. which is just a guy who might be able to come in and get you a game or a half a game. I
And
think Andy Dalton's proven he's not a year long quarterback. He's a guy who can come in and
well, and it's crazy because 6 years ago he was, 7 years
yeah,
ago he was. So
yeah,
I think that's a lot. A lot of people forget, especially with how long he's been a backup for the Cowboys, now the Panthers, and I think there was one other team in there. He's been a backup for so long. I think people forget how good he once was with the Bengals,
hmm
and I think he's more probably just there as a veteran person to try and help develop Bryce Young and the young quarterbacks.
yeah. I totally agree with that. I really so if you go into what they've done with this roster this season, I mean, going on the defense, we'll start there first because that was their worst spot, obviously, giving up the most points in the league. They really went after some free agents. Bobby Brown from the Rams, nose tackle Treshaun Wharton from the Kansas City Chiefs at defensive end at right end, and they got Patrick Jones from Minnesota. So I mean, those were just the defensive
Well,
line.
yeah, that was. I mean, he's a
They say left outside linebacker, but I think that he's an edge rusher.
yeah. They
I
run
think in
a
their
3-4, so
yeah, in
he's
their
a edge
system.
rusher.
And then they did do some work on like they did get some like safety from the Raiders.
Yeah, they got Trayvon Mulrig, and then yeah, I mean some depth pieces.
But yeah, overall in free agency, I would say that they were just trying to get some pieces. I don't think any of those were big splashes. I don't think they spent a lot of money in the offseason, but at least they know where they need and they went for more pieces rather than this like one big guy. On the
Yeah,
offense during free agency, they got some uh, they got a running back, Rico Dowdle from Dallas, which I really think that that's going to be good. I think him and Chuba Hubbard are going to look good together.
I
So,
personally looking at it, I don't think I'd give Rico that many snaps. Anyways, I do think Trevor Etienne's got a good chance.
okay, so going in the draft, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, Trevor Etienne, I agree. He could give him a run for his money at that backup. But I think Rico Dowdle looked good last year at times. I really do. I thought he looked pretty good. Um,
yeah. I'm not high on him, but either way, I think it'll be a good depth piece.
mhm.
Me and you are both real high on Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
he's a hell of a
I
back.
definitely think should be getting 60 to 65% of the carries out of that backfield for sure, if not more. And but I do like their backfield right now. I think I had Trevor Etienne coming out in the fourth round. They got him. I think they're looking pretty good as far as I'm concerned. I think that on the running back position, I think they're set. I think they've got enough pieces there, got enough depth. So
And then overall, I think their draft class kind of sucked.
yeah,
I mean, I think Tataroya, I liked him coming out. I think he was a good pick. Other than that, I'm not. Like I said, I think Trevor Etienne could have a good chance fighting for the backup, but I don't think he'll. I don't see him coming close to the first back spot.
mhm.
And I mean, really, all they did in the draft was get depth.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that too. It looks like I don't know much about. I like the idea of getting Jimmy here, but I'm not so sure how much he's gonna play, how good he's gonna be. Right now, they kind of have him ahead of Hunter Renfro, but I don't think that's gonna last.
Yeah,
I
and
think
then of course
Renfro's
you
gonna
have
be better.
Adam Thielen,
Yeah, you
who's
got
a billion years old, but
but one of the best route runners in the entire league.
yeah,
And you got Xavier Leggett, who's played pretty good. He's had some, made some good plays. So yeah, I agree with you. I think their receiving core is kind of yeah. I do like McMillan. I think he's going to come in and hopefully play really well. But he's
yeah,
going to, he's going to have a season kind of like those three rookies did, I should say, last year within that Brian Thompson, the one in Malik Neighbors,
yeah.
and that what was the guy in the Chargers?
Oh man, what is his name? Can't think of it.
Anyway, those guys had great rookie seasons, so he's going to have to pull off one of those and give Bryce Young, give him a lot of help. I'm surprised they didn't try to get more help on the O line during this offseason. Usually when you have issues with your offense and it's that bad, normally there's a breakdown in the offensive line. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean they
Uh,
signed three undrafted free agent offensive linemen. They picked up one in the draft in the fifth round. Or no, that's tight end. Yeah, so they signed 3 undrafted offensive linemen, and that's all they did for their O-line.
Yeah. So,
Now, I think they have a couple pieces. Maybe they just didn't play well together because they're newer. I do like Robert Hunt, who they got out of Miami going into last season.
mhm.
And I think they got some pieces. Ikem Ekonwanu. I don't know how to say that name, but
Oh, okay.
I think they do got some good
Well,
pieces. I can see maybe not. I probably would have went after at least the left guard, but I think they're on the right path. I just would have hoped for a bit better of a draft class this year.
right. So I actually on the offense, I'm agreeing with you on their draft cast, but on the defense, I'm actually pretty happy with what they did. I think Nick Scorton as an edge rusher in the second round was a good pickup. I think he's an Ohio State guy. Let me look real quick, but I remember when we were doing all our draft stuff on him, I liked what I'd seen on a lot of his tape and everything.
Yeah, and I like Nick too. I just
Texas
think
A&M, that's where he's from.
especially with he came out in the second round. I think there's better places they could have gone the second round than the same spot that they went out and got somebody in free agency.
Uh-huh.
I mean, right now, who knows? He might win the starting job. I haven't been paying attention to OTAs there in Carolina too well, but
Yeah.
a second rounder for a guy who's most likely going to be a backup. I think they could have went a different place for that second round pick.
Well, I might agree with you there, except for, I mean, that was one of their biggest spots that they were missing last year was getting to the quarterback. And the guy's an edge rusher, he's a pass rusher. So, I mean, even if it is a little bit of a depth spot, those guys are always going down with injury or they need some rest, And they got two guys. They got him and that Princely Human Malin, however you pronounce that in the third round. So I think they did really good at going to get places they need on the defense, to be honest with you. I think they knew that they needed to get to the quarterback, and they were not able to do that at all last season. And so I really like what they did there. And then they did shore up their D line a little bit with free agency. But yeah, I think in the draft, I thought they did pretty good. Even that Lathan Ransom, I think he's going to be pretty good safety. But I agree with you in the fact that I don't think they did enough. And as much as I like McMillan as the first pick, I'm surprised they didn't go with the defensive player there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I do think Teddy Roy was the best available at that pick, and like I'm a huge fan of Teddy Roy, but I do see where they could have gone defense there. I was just hoping, I guess after this team, I was hoping that they've seen enough out of Bryce Young to make a big splash and try and make a good push with him to at least go for an 8-9 win season. I think where they're still playing the long game.
Right. And yeah, normally right now most teams are doing it because they got a rookie quarterback. They haven't paid him a lot yet. And yeah, I kind of agree with you there. Where yeah, it is like with I thought they totally underwhelmed in the free agency.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. I think they just went for a. I think they're still playing the long game. They're actually still a pretty young team. So I mean, I'm still not mad at their team at all. I
No.
still think they got a good chance. I just was hoping that they would do something to get them on track to be competitive in the next two, where I think they were still looking at maybe the next 3 or 4 to start being competitive
Right.
again.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that completely. I don't think that they sold out to win this season, which I'm happy with. But at the same time, when it comes due to pay that quarterback, because he'll be in his third season, that might be too late
Yeah,
to get these pieces around him to gel just right before you have to pay him and start releasing some guys.
yep,
So, I mean, just in the game today, once you pay that quarterback, it's tough.
yeah. And I
I mean, a
mean,
good team.
let's be honest. If Bryce Young doesn't lead him to an NFC Championship this year, then he's not going to get a bad contract. But a QB contract that guy is going to be a starter is still at a minimum right now like 30 to 35 million,
Yeah.
which is probably what I would have him valued at just because of where the QB market is. So that still takes insane salary cap.
And putting a good team around a quarterback is one of the best ways to judge
Yeah,
what you have there. You know what I mean? Because if you're like, well, our offensive line is still a little questionable, and our defense doesn't really get off the field too often, to get them a lot of chances. Well, you don't know what you got with a quarterback, especially a young quarterback.
maybe they think they got him fully solved and exactly who he is. They just don't want him to see it so that they get him for cheap for that 30 to 35 million instead of
So they're playing this
Paying him
sneaky
50.
long game, even.
yeah. And they're like, we'll sign him for 35, then we'll throw a team around him and he'll go win us his Super Bowl 35 mil instead of 50.
Right. Now that'd be awesome if it worked out that way, huh?
Yeah.
He doesn't even know his own worth.
Yep.
We do, but he doesn't. But I don't know, man. I don't think by any means is this their season, but I feel a little better going into this season about the Panthers than I did last season and the season before. So I don't think it's their season necessarily to say, oh yeah, they got a chance to win this division by any means, but I think they got a chance at second. You know, it's a weak
Yeah.
division, and you got the Saints, and you've got the Bucks, and then the Falcons. So I mean, they do. I'm not sure what we're going to see out of the Falcons, and I don't think the Saints are going to be there.
Yeah, I think
So,
the Saints episode we did,
mhm.
and I think I was saying that they would split with them.
Yeah,
I think the Saints have a good chance of splitting with everybody, and I think the Panthers are probably about the same.
yeah,
I think they might get swept by the Bucks just because they don't have the defense to stop Baker Mayfield. But
yeah. They're going to need some of these pieces they brought in to really play well, and I'm not so sure they're there yet. Like
Yeah.
they're going to have like a defensive rookie of the year out of Nick Gordon. Or one of those guys, Scourton, however you pronounce his name. They're going to need that out of one of those edge rushers if they're going to plan on beating the Bucks twice.
yeah.
That's why I think you're right there. I think the Buccaneers could still sweep them. So,
Mhm.
but overall, I'm pretty happy. I think that going into this next season, I see them increasing on their 5-12.
Yeah.
I can't say it's going to be by a lot, but I'm seeing between 7 to 9 wins. 9 if everything kind of works out good. 7 if things are just kind of improving slowly like they did last year.
Yeah. So you're a bit higher than them. I don't think they've done enough to even get close to 8 or to get 8 or 9. I think they just barely raised their floor. I think their floor is a 6-win team, but I don't think they did enough to really. I think if they have a perfect year and no injuries, I think they're an 8-win team. But with realism, I think they have a floor of 6 and a ceiling of 7 wins.
Okay, no, that's fair. It's a fair judgment because I kind of agree with like we said, their free agency was pretty underwhelming. So,
Yeah, but I mean, if they keep this roster intact and don't, without free agency, without drafts, I think here in 2 years, I think they are an 8 or 9 win team just because they have a lot of young pieces.
right, because if they hit on some of these guys they just drafted, I totally agree. I think they're going the right direction.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's this, if they've like done enough to
Yeah,
really make the
they're still a
playoffs.
slow slope, and
Right.
like I said, I was hoping this draft, they'd have a kick-ass draft and they'd hit that spike, and I think it's still just a slow slope.
Slow growth. Yeah. Okay. No, that's fair. Awesome. All right. Yeah. I mean, kind of a little bit shallower of a deep dive there, but the problem with it is we ran with the Raiders. We thought that's what we were going to be doing. For some reason, we didn't look it up, but we just both thought the Raiders were going to be at 8, and then we did the deep dive on the Raiders and then realized, oh wait, no, we got to do one on the Panthers and the Jets first. So we were a little ahead of ourselves,
Yeah.
which is fine. Which is fine. We all make mistakes, but at least we didn't put the episode out. So that would have been a little embarrassing.
Yeah.
But all right, yeah, no, that was fun. I'm high on the Panthers. I liked watching them last season. I don't know why. For some reason, I think it was Chuba Hubbard. To be honest with you, the dude, I think he's a great running back, and he was on a not so great team and was still making things happen.
I think I started enjoying the Panthers after they brought Bryce Young back in off the bench. Because you do start seeing, I love the young guys who aren't straight off the bat super successful, and they're developmental guys. Especially, I think that's how most first round quarterbacks should still be. So I just love that they're willing to give them that proper time.
Yeah, give them the time to get better.
I think the Panthers are still a fun team to watch, even though they're not very good.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, thanks for joining us on this one. We will be back with the Jets on our next episode at number 7. It should be a good episode. They've done quite a bit. I don't know if they've done enough, but yeah, we'll get back into the New York Jets. We'll look at how bad I wonder how bad their playoff thing is. That'll be fun to look up.
It's crazy because I think they'll have a deeper Ring of Honor and Hall of Famers, but still not a great playoff.
Not great playoff. I totally agree with you. Okay, well, thanks for joining us. This has been the Finley Formation, and thanks.